Is it still worth collecting and investing in sealed Pokemon products, especially in the Scarlet and Violet era? That's one of the questions I get asked a lot recently is, Jace, is it even worth buying these Scarlet and Violet base set booster boxes, Paldea Evolved, and Obsidian Flames? Because they all seem to be going down. Single cards values are dropping day by day. Is it really worth picking these up? Because we've got 151 coming, and a lot of you guys have been telling me, Jace, I've been buying loads of 151. I've pre-ordered a ton of it. I think this is going to be the best set in the Scarlet and Violet era because all the other 3 previous sets have been absolutely terrible. Well, today we'll be taking a look at those 3 sets in particular, Scarlet and Violet base, Paldea Evolved, and Obsidian Flames, to answer the question, is it still worth to buy these products, or should we just leave it all together and go straight for 151? Let's get into it. Okay, right, so Scarlet and Violet era, I mean, it's a hit and miss. Some people love it, some people hate it. Me personally, I actually quite like it. I think the artwork of these sets are incredible. I do feel like that the pull rates seem to be pretty decent. From what I've had so far, that the print quality has been okay. Now don't forget, in the early days of Sword and Shield, the print quality was terrible. So this kind of a little bit better than before, but some people have also said that the print, has been pretty bad. Print lines, you name it, has been pretty whack. So hopefully things will improve as time goes on. However, these booster boxes have been dropping in price, and not just the booster boxes, the single cards as well. I mean, Scarlet and Violet base, it is so cheap, it is not even funny, especially some of the chase cards and set. Like, it is a really easy set to get a master set for, because you can just buy all the cards because it's so cheap. It's actually quite impressive. So we're going to jump into TCG Player, and we're going to be taking a look at what's been going on in each of these sets, and we're going to answer the question, should you still buy these, or should we just jog it on and move on to 151? Let's get into it. But first, let's get into today's sponsor, lowpoppin.market. If you are on the hunt for big top-end graded cards, they have you covered. From PSA 10s to Beckett Black Labels, guys, they have it all for you. They have all of their stock listed over on their Instagram page, so you can go through and browse through their entire catalog of amazing graded cards. I mean, they are absolutely fantastic. If you necessarily don't have the funds right now, they can also buy your collections from you guys to help get the cards that you want to get hold of. But not only do they buy collections, but they also do trades as well. We all know we like trading, but they also accept trades towards the cards that you want to get. If you don't have the cash right now, buy the cards that you want. And on top of that, they also accept multiple payment methods and international shipping. Hey, I'm over here in the UK, so that's great news for me. So if you're looking at picking up some of these cards, or you just want to check out their store, make sure to click on the link in the description below, head on over to their Instagram page and their store, drop them a follow, and go and take a look. All right, let's get into the video. All right, we're starting things off with the Scarlet and Violet base set booster box. Oh boy, this is an interesting one. So at the moment, as it stands on TCG Player, we are looking at $90 to $91 a booster box. I didn't think this would happen. If I'm being perfectly honest, coming into the Scarlet and Violet era with the increase of MSRP, I felt like we're going to move away from even being able to buy booster boxes for $100, let alone for $90. Right, so you may be thinking, is this worth, me spending $90 to pick up this booster box? Okay, yes, straight answer, yes, it is a very, very cheap set to pick up. If you're looking at keeping it sealed, and holding on to it for 5-10 years plus, or whatever it may be, I think this is a really good one. The fact is that I actually went out of my way to buy more, and in my collection, kind of shows how good it is and how much of a opportunity it is to pick this up for $90 or just less than $100. Over here in the UK, you can actually pick up these booster boxes for under £100. I think the cheapest I saw was £95. You might be able to get a little bit cheaper than that even in some places, but it is pretty good. Now, I picked up one to begin with, and that was all I was interested in. I was like, you know what? I'll pick up one. I'm kind of done, right? I didn't. I went back and I bought 3 more because I was like, wow, this is super cheap. I managed to get a deal. I think it was like maybe 3 for $260, so it was quite cheap actually, so I was pretty happy with that. But overall, this is still it's good if you want to keep sealed. Now if you want to open it, that's a different story, and we'll get into the single cards. Right, Miriam is the biggest card in the set. Guys, you may be seeing this chart, you may be thinking, oh my days, this card is $38, so the most expensive card in the set is $38, and it's not even a Pokemon, it's a full art trainer. This card, Fallen from Grace is just another thing, but this card has been absolutely obliterated. So it came out at a really high, really stupidly high waifu price, $265, but it really came out at around about $75. So it came out about $75, and we're looking around, what, $40 or less? For the biggest card in the set. If you pull the hardest, biggest card in the set, you don't even get half the value of your booster box. Yeah, pretty tough. Pretty tough. Now, would I say it's best to open up some Scarlet and Violet base set? Probably not. Even though the pull rates are pretty good, like I say, you could probably complete the entire set for a reasonable price. Over here in the UK, you can pick this up on eBay anywhere between 35 and 40. I actually saw one recently sold maybe 2-3 days ago, £35. I was like, my goodness, I want to get one myself because I don't actually have it. It's the only one I'm missing from the set. Then we got the God of War. I actually love this card. I actually bought this for myself not too long ago. I think I paid £25 for this. We're looking at $26, so it has dropped. Nowhere near as crazy as the Miriam, because the Miriam was just absolutely mad. But when this card came out, we're looking around $48. So again, it wasn't already that expensive. It's dropped 50% nearly since its release. And, you know, beautiful card, like absolutely beautiful. I love it, you know, in my collection. But again, the value is just not there if you go out and open it. It really isn't. So you can pick this up. I've seen people selling this online, you know, eBay, Facebook, places like that, anywhere between 20 and 25 pounds. So I do feel like you can pick this up for a pretty good deal. Then we have the Miraidon. Now I actually got stung by picking this up. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I paid £30 for this Miraidon, $20. So yeah, this was a pretty shock to me. I didn't expect it to drop or continue to drop the way it has. We go back 6 months and this card was $60, and when I'm looking at $20, it's now a third of the price. Like I said, I picked it up for 30 thinking, you know, I might drop a little bit more, but maybe not that much. Nope, just kept going. Just kept going. I've been seeing people selling this on eBay and Facebook over here for like 20, 22, you know, up to 25, and I'm like, I paid 30. It was about 2 months ago, but still, I did pay a pretty hefty price for this card. But is it worth it? I mean, I love the artwork. I think it's fantastic, but I think you could pick up, like I say, you could pick up the biggest cards or the cards you're missing from your master set rather than trying to crack packs and pull these. Right, on to Paldea Evolved. Slightly different story for Paldea Evolved compared to Scarlet and Violet base. Now obviously base sets never usually do that well, although Sword and Shield base eventually became pretty decent. $100 for a Paldea Evolved booster box, going from $110 3 months ago. Basically since its release it has dropped and settled around $100, so compared to Scarlet and Violet this is $10 more. I personally feel like Paldea Evolved is a much better set than Scarlet and Violet base. Pull rates, however, they're tough. They are a lot tougher if you want to get those certain cards, just because the pool of cards to get the hits is so large in this set that to get the specific cards you want are a little bit tougher. That's why they hold that a little bit extra value, which isn't bad. It makes it a little bit more fun and exciting when you try and open a booster box to try and pull the biggest card, which is the Iono. And it's holding pretty well, which we'll get to in just a moment. But overall, I do feel like Paldea Evolved is much better than Scarlet and Violet base. And I actually went back like Scarlet and Violet base, and I picked up more of these. I only picked up 1 box to begin with. Now I've gone back and I picked up 3 more. So same as Scarlet and Violet, I have 4 of each. Potentially I might go up to 6. We'll have to wait and see. But right now, I do think it's pretty good. Over here in the UK, you can pick these up for around about £100. Maybe even slightly less, which is actually pretty decent. We talked about the biggest card, Iono, of course. Now, this has been dropping, but it's still kind of holding somewhat as compared to the Miriam, right? We looked at the Miriam, $35 to $38, like, you know, under 40, right? This is 95. As you can see, it has been dropping, but it's still holding somewhat of what I would call pretty decent value. Now, we've been kind of spoiled in the Sword and Shield era with a lot of cards that were over $100, especially when we look at some of the alt arts now. They've eventually climbed to that level, but for the longest time, a lot of those alt arts didn't really reach $100. They actually sat below $100 for the longest time. I mean, the Blaziken Flaming Chicken from Chin and Rain, I mean, that has, you know, shot recently, but it has been under $100. I remember doing alt art top 10 expensive lists, and it was like honorable mentions, you know, at around $80, and there were others that were, you know, near the top end that were like 100. So things have moved up over time, which is to be expected. So this sitting at 95 with how much Paldea Evolved is out there is pretty impressive. Now don't forget, this is tougher to pull than the Miriam just because the pool of cards in this set is so large. But this is a beautiful card anyway, but it is holding good value. Over here, this does sell anywhere between, I would say, 70 to 85. It really does swing depending on condition, but overall it's pretty good. Right, now on to the Magikarp. Now this is actually doing really well for just a regular art rare, coming in at $56. So already still another card that's worth more than the Miriam from Scarlet and Violet base set. Doing really well. You know, $56 is actually pretty impressive. Now, there was a lot of hype behind this card when it came out. That's why it shot up to as high as $80, but it's been pretty steady. And to be honest, I would say it's going up, you know, more so. I mean, look, we go back to the past month, this card is on a little bit of a rise. But if you go back over the past 3 months, you can see it there, you know, $47, and it's kind of, you know, dipped, but then it's been gradually climbing again. So this is a card that's actually on the rise. It's just a normal illustration rare. You know, it's sharing a big pool of amazing cards in the set. Doing really well for the Magikarp. And the third most expensive card in the set is the Iono, so just a normal trainer. Now, this is actually holding pretty good as well at $37. Doing well, you know, already what? Basically, this Iono is the same price as the Miriam, you know, the biggest card in Scarlet and Violet base. Very, very good. Holding pretty strong at $37 over the past 3 months. You know, so we're doing pretty well. You know, the waifu cards are holding strong, but especially in Paldea Evolved, they're both doing really well. Both the Ionos are doing better than what most people would have thought, better than what I thought they would, and that's pretty good. And now on to Obsidian Flames, the most recent set. There's been a lot of talk about Obsidian Flames. You know, is it actually going to be Darkness Ablaze 2.0? You know, is this actually going to be really good? It's kind of a bit of a 50-50, right? A part of me is thinking, yep, Obsidian Flames is actually way better than Darkness Ablaze, better than Scarlet and Violet base, but not quite as good as Paldea Evolved. I kind of feel like this is like a slightly below average set. If Paldea Evolved is kind of an average set, then I feel like Obsidian Flames is a slightly below average. I would compare this more to, I would say more to like a Vivid Voltage, where Vivid Voltage is not like a terrible set by any means, but it is slightly below average. Like if we compared it to the Sword and Shield era type early sets, I feel like it's better than, you know, Sword and Shield base, better than Rebel Clash, better than Darkness Ablaze, but kind of on the same level as Vivid Voltage. That's how I would put it. $100, I mean, it's been pretty stable. I mean, it did come out not too long ago, and the price of it really has been pretty stable. You know, in the grand scheme of things, sitting around the $100. I mean, obviously it's dropped since its release. But 100, if it stays around 100, I feel like, hey, look, it's still a great pickup at $100. Will it drop even less? I mean, it has the potential. Don't forget, Paldea Evolved did drop under 100. It's kind of been swinging around that $100 mark for the, you know, for a while now. And Obsidian Flames, I kind of feel like they're all sitting around that, going to be sitting around that same mark. Kind of feel like the newest set at the end of the year, which we haven't really talked about yet. That will probably follow suit as the same with these sets as well. Now, Obsidian Flames pull rates, I mean, really easy. You know, to some extent. It's a small set, you know, as in like the number of cards in the set is the same, but the number of pulls, that pool of pulls, is quite small compared to something like Paldea Evolved, where it's absolutely massive. So that means you can end up seeing, you know, quite high volume of the same cards being pulled, and that's great. You know, it's absolutely fantastic seeing these big top cards coming into your, you know, into the collections and things like that, and that's what you want. You want fun, exciting things. However, the downside of it is they drop in value, and they drop in value quite a bit. Like, is it worth to open a box of Obsidian Flames right now? I would probably say yes, only because there are some, you know, somewhat decent cards that you can pull, and because the pull rates are just so good. Like over here, you can pick this up for around about £100 to £110 per box. Pretty good deal. Is going to be the most expensive out of the two until there's probably, you know, a second print run. And we'll watch this box drop even further. But right now, I do feel like anything that's 100 or less is a really good pickup. So, the big boy Charizard, we have pulled it recently. $81 is the market price of this. And it does depend on the quality of the card. I mean, over here in the UK, I've been seeing this sell for around about 80 to 85. So, it has dropped from the 100. Now, I did hear like some shenanigans of this card going around of weird prices left, right, and centre. If I'm being perfectly honest, I would say around the 80 to 100 mark is probably where this card's going to be sitting. As we can see since it's come out, it has been dropping. But overall, I do feel like this is still a big chase card. Now, I've heard stories of people pulling loads of these in their boxes and booster cases and ETBs and things like that. But from the experience that we've had over here on the channel in the live streams, I've pulled this once in a case. We've now opened up 6 boxes of Obsidian Flames. We've managed to pull this one once and the gold one once, and that's it. The normally X actually we got 2, but the other one, which we'll get to in a minute, we haven't. So yeah, this big Charizard, I mean, it's a Pokemon at least. It's better than a trainer card. It's holding better value than the Miriam, not quite as good as the Iono, but still a big card, and I do feel like this will be worth more than the Charizard VMAX from Darkness Ablaze, so we don't have to worry about that one. Golden Charizard, this one seems to be more common. We pulled 1, I've seen some people pull 2, I've seen people pull 2 in a single box, I've seen people pull like 4 in a case. So you can get this actually quite often, more so than I would have originally thought. And this is the second most expensive card, coming in at $30. And again, I mean, there's tons of this around. I mean, you can see actually some of them actually higher than $30. But I would say that this card it's probably going to be sitting around that 30 to 35 for the time being. I mean, over here you can pick this up, I've seen for about £30, so it's about right for this card, but it does seem quite common. Now this one we haven't pulled, this Charizard EX from 6 boxes, we haven't pulled any, and this was, you know, $24, has been dropping. You know, is it as common really as the gold one? I don't think it is. I think this one's actually harder to pull from my own personal experience, but this one is cheaper than the gold one. Still big Charizard. I'm not a huge fan of this art style. I prefer the SIR, but nonetheless it's still holding decent value. Over here this goes for around 20 to 25, all depending on condition of course, but still reasonable compared to something like, you know, Scarlet and Violet base or even Paldea Evolved. I mean, obviously Paldea Evolved has overall high value cards, but this is a much easier set to get those pulls. So that is what's been going on with the Scarlet and Violet era sets so far. If I had to rate each one of these sets out of 10, and to give you guys an example, I would say something like Evolving Skies is like a 9 out of 10, right? I wouldn't say it's the best, but I'll say it's a 9 out of 10. I would actually probably put something like Brilliant Stars, which is a good solid set, at an 8. And I would say something like Darkness Blaze, to give you an example, would probably be like a 2. Pretty poor, right? So I would probably put Scarlet and Violet base, to be honest, at a 4. I'd probably put Scarlet and Violet base at a 4. If I had to give Paldea Evolved a rating, I would probably say Paldea Evolved is a good solid 6. I don't feel like it's incredible, and I don't feel like it's bad either. I feel like it's pretty solid. And I would probably put Obsidian Flames probably about 5, maybe a 5.5. I do feel like Obsidian Flames is much better than Scarlet and Violet base, but not quite as good as Paldea Evolved, just because the Charizards are holding pretty well. Now obviously when the second print run comes, yes, it will drop. Card values, especially the pull rates, are going to be good. They're going to be dropping like crazy, but people having fun, people genuinely having fun opening up Obsidian Flames more so than the previous sets. Now looking at 151, we'll have to wait and see how that goes. It's going to be the first holiday set of the Scarlet and Violet era. Is it going to be worth it? Is it going to be fun to pull? Is it going to be fun to crack open and have fun? Are we going to get good pull rates, bad pull rates? Now they've taken out 3 of the top cards out of the set and chucked them in another product, which I think is a bad idea, but however, we'll have to wait and see what's going to be going on with 151. If you made this fun to the video, guys, and you've enjoyed it, make sure to smash the like button and make sure to subscribe for more Pokemon content just like this one. And let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on these 3 sets so far? If you had to pick one, which one is your favorite? And let me know why. For me, I would have to go Paldea Evolved, but I would say that it's not the best start. Okay, now I do know that the kind of maybe potential golden era of the, you know, Sword and Shield is probably going to pass, and we're kind of going back to what things were like pre-hype mode, pre-pandemic, but things are looking pretty good. I think the art rares are a great addition. I just feel like we need something that gives it a little bit more oomph, if you know what I mean. So maybe some ORs. Move away from these trainers. We don't want to see them. We want to see some cool Pokemon. The Charizard's a good start. Going into 151, hopefully it could look like to be the Charizard again, but we'll have to wait and see. If you want to know what's going on in the Japanese 151 market and what's coming over here to English, then make sure to click on this video right here. And if you want to watch more Pokemon content, guys, you know what to do. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Alright guys, that's it for me in this video. As always, you guys are legends, and I'll see you in the next one.